Good morning. It is the morning for me. Hi, I'm Julie. What I want to share today is I'm deciphering a dream that I had. I know this dream is giving me clues about something that needs to be healed in me. And, I know how to do this. It's just not my favorite way to heal something. But for a while now, the card that's been coming out for me a lot is pay attention to your dreams. And I've been trying to, heal whatever's in the way of me giving myself, but also experiencing unconditional love in the world, you know? And I do that very easily most of the time. But I'll give you some of the clues that I've just been putting together as I've been processing this dream this morning. Now, my dreams are this thing where if I don't grasp it right when I wake up, I'll lose it completely. I have a very, very loose dream journal that I keep on my phone, which means when I'm in the mood, I record my dreams for a while. And then I'll usually drop out of the mood of it. I don't know. So what I'm saying is this is not like an established habit for me, like doing shadow work another way. This is you know, something where I'm like, yeah, I could do it. It's just I don't prefer to do it this way, but okay. But it is solving a little mystery. So I don't know. I thought I'd just sit here, document it, which would kind of make me stick with it and get through the whole thing because my mind definitely, I noticed, just in the short time I've been processing it this morning, has a tendency to want to go away from it. And I think that just might be the case with, things that are out of our comfort zone, coupled with the fact that it's a shadow, so that means there might be some pain to process with it. And the part of me that's been avoiding it all this time doesn't think that I should be looking at it. And that's why it had to come up through my dreams, because this is something I've been resistant to see in myself, right? Okay, so the dream. Here's what my dream was. Basically, it was a lot more than this, but what I could grasp right at the very end, right before I woke up, was I was being shown where I cleaned some things prior, right? Prior to the time that I was being shown in the dream. I had cleaned some things. You could call it dishes, I guess. And somebody, a male figure, older than me anyway, not in a mean way, but was kindly saying to me, it was like he lifted the little lid on a baby food jar that I had cleaned, I guess. And he showed me this little stuff on the edge of the lip, on the outside of it, and it looked like mercury. It was like this metally, silvery metally. It wasn't shiny though. It was dull. Substance, just in this little, spot on the edge of the baby food jar, and he just said, "This needs to be cleaned too, because this is from humans." That's what he said. He was basically saying it was like human waste, but it wasn't like he meant feces or anything like that. He was saying this is left over from us humans using it. This isn't part of it. This is not supposed to be there, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, you know, and I don't remember feeling any shame. His presentation of it was pretty gentle-ish, matter of fact, but also, you know, with no tone that was shaming me. Okay. which is nice when people can deliver things without shame, right? Because then we can hear them. Oh gosh, yes, that's part of it. Okay. I just flashed to the examples that I've been dealing with lately in my life because right when something's ready to heal, it usually will get louder and louder. The reason it's coming into my dream is because it's been getting louder, but I haven't noticed the pattern. And when I just said that about shame not being part of his presentation of it, I realized like, oh, it might be why I've been avoiding it. Something here, okay. Okay, it might have, okay. So what I have deciphered so far is that it's something that has to do with communication as a Mercury. It's something that has to do with babies, like me at an infant stage or a baby stage, right? Because it was baby food. And it's something in my communication or the way I process. Like, here's your mind. Mercury is your mind. And it's been with me since I was a baby. So to me, it's been normal, right? I haven't known that this was there in my operating system. I haven't noticed that there was another way. And lately, so then I said, okay, if it's in my communication, if it's in the way I'm thinking, and it's been affecting me my whole life, I noticed some patterns lately of trying to communicate with people where I've been, I don't know, less than perfect. A lot less than perfect in some cases. So one of them is just on a regular basis, I deal with somebody who is mentally different. And if you've watched a lot of a lot of a lot of videos that I've put out here, you may put the pieces together, and that's fine, of who that might be in my life. But so this person, though, that is mentally different is very challenging to communicate with. And I always start out with patience and I always give them a fresh slate every time I communicate. But by the end of the communication, it's usually resulting in me feeling very defeated and frustrated and um, ineffective in communicating with them. Anything that's really important or anything that really needs to be like handled, this mentally different person goes against me every step of the way, and then I end up going against them by having to, walk away after exhausting myself trying to communicate through their usually anger. So that's been really difficult. But that is so overwhelming, I think, at times that it's like I know that I want to be in unconditional love when I deal with this person. I know that it's a mental thing. Like there's something going on in there that can probably be fixed, but isn't fixed right now, and or wasn't fixed the last time I saw them. I'll say that could be fixed now. Miracles happen. So my experience after experience, has just kind of worn on me after a while, and I just end up feeling like overwhelmed by it, and it's hard to process anything that I might have been doing that causes me to lose my space in unconditional love when I'm dealing with it, because I think when that person gets angry, when that person gets angry, I start needing to protect myself. I feel threatened and hurt, but I don't ever show it. Oh, yes. Okay. This is really valuable for me to talk through because I would not have realized this about myself. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I feel the tears. They're ready. I don't know what for yet. So let's understand this to get them to come out. Okay. Okay, so I end up feeling and I feel angry at them too. I feel angry at them for taking my peace. Yeah. I just want to be peaceful. I just don't want to fight. I do not want to have to defend myself. I just want this person to like chill. Life is good if you just let it be. Can we just solve the issue? Can we just solve the issues and like move on, you know? Why does everything have to be self-sabotaged and 25 steps extra that I have to handle? You know, um, so I've been thinking, you know, and as a side note, I've been thinking about, you know, looking to get some help with the mentally different person, you know, as a side note. There's not a lot of programs out there that can help. I've tried a lot of them already, but you never know what has come out in the meantime. So, anyway, where else has this issue been trying to be shown to me? The issue in me, right? Because in there, it's so overwhelming, like I said, but like, seems to me the issue is that I get activated in this need to protect myself, this need to defend myself, this need to, but I don't show it. I don't, I just kind of brace myself on the inside and try to communicate directly and then get out of there. That's how I've been handling it. And this mentally different person also is lonely and wants to spend time. And it can't happen because of the way that I've been treated so many times over, that I just can't even stand, you know, spending my time there because I need to go get my peace back by myself. Because I always have peace when I'm by myself. And the next place where I notice it, as an example, is at the grocery store yesterday. I went to the desk. This woman, where I've been friendly with her in the past at the service desk, one time we ran into each other at the watering hole. And, like, she told me she worked there. And so, you know, I've said hi to her, you know, when I've been there before. But anyway, she was there. And she was the one about to help me. And I was there actually for a lottery ticket. I had to go to the service desk because I get the extra option. And I can't use the machines anymore because I started adding that extra option in on the lottery tickets. Side note, I guess. And well, as I was about to be there, there was a sign in front of me and it said that you need your receipt for all returns. And I remembered that I had just bought 2 bags of Brussels sprouts the week before, that were organic, so they were like $4.50 a piece or something like that, and they had bugs like all through them. Like, not the actual bugs, but like the bugs had eaten all through them. And so most of them were not usable. And I was like, oh, I said, well, while I'm here, will you credit me for these Brussels sprouts that I had gotten? The bugs are all through them. And she said, no, because they're perishable items, we don't. And I said, they had bugs all through them. And she said, well, did you peel off the outer layers? Like, she said it a bit condescendingly from my perspective. I don't know. I feel like I might have been seeing it through my own lens of wounding. And only in retrospect, I thought that because of how it went down. I'll show you how it went down. So she says that, and I kind of mimicked her. I copied her, and I said, the bugs were all through them. You know, I talked to her the same way she talked to me. And that is not me. I do not want to talk to people that way. I don't. I do not want to belittle anybody, even if they belittle me. I do not. And that is not who I am. And I don't usually do that. at all. So I did feel a bit of shame after that. And I don't usually feel shame either because I don't do things that I would be ashamed of. And so whatever, I just kind of was like stunned there for a moment. And she was like, you know, if you bring him in, I said, oh, I could get him out of my garbage, I guess. And she got my ticket, paid her. She's like, oh, is there anything else? And I was just standing there stunned still. That I guess that I had behaved that way, but I didn't really know that at the time. And I just told her that I had had a bad time at that service desk. But the prices were good, so I was weighing things. And that was my explanation in the moment for how I felt. But really, I think what I was feeling was just this discomfort with how I had behaved. Whatever about how she behaved, obviously I didn't like it and it triggered something in me. But on a conscious level, it didn't. It was all a subconscious thing for me. Like, the conscious part of me would never take that personal. That's her problem, that she would talk to people that way, right? But it just became my problem because I talk to people. I talk to her that way too. So that was another clue, right? Like, and then what I realized about that, like, that was mimic. And mimic is from an infant stage. I have a video on how mimic can get stuck. Like, you can get broken mimic program where you grow up and think you're an empath because you're absorbing everybody else's energy, but really all you're doing is mimicking their energy and experiencing it because your mimic just mimics things without even just everything. And I would say it's kind of a broken function, right? Because like mimic is supposed to kind of be a way for the infant to learn and bond with the parent. But if that bonding process is interrupted in some way, that's when mimic can get stuck on. And that's when we have these disempowered people calling themselves empaths who are mimicking others' energy, which, yes, it's very real for them to feel what the other is feeling, but it is in their control. And it's good to know that it's a mimic in yourself happening because then you can do something about it. You're not just this powerless person subject to everybody else's feelings. You can heal the part of you that is mimicking, which I have done on so many levels. I didn't know that there was still something else, right? And when I said mimic to myself, in my processing before I started recording, I thought, okay, is that it? And then I realized, like, oh, even with the mentally different person, I'm kind of mimicking because they get angry and then I feel angry. And even though I don't show it like they do, it's inside me. I feel it. I feel angry. That's why I end up walking away to go get my peace back. So, in that environment, with the mentally different person, I used to let my anger out. And so I've just adapted on that environment. So that's why I didn't notice the pattern, because I didn't see it as a mirror, because I adapted out of acting angry at this person. I just didn't acknowledge that I felt it on the inside anymore. And I do. I did. I mimicked them. I mimicked this lady at the grocery store. And I'm trying to think if there's another place I'm doing it, because there's one other person I've been having communication difficulties with. They make me feel unheard. They literally don't even read my text messages all the way through and they'll still respond. And then they'll accuse me of not being clear or saying something I didn't. They'll totally misinterpret my information, having not read it, and act as if we're having a conversation or something. And it's like fucking mind-blowing to me that I'm even having to deal with it, right? And I'm trying to think, is that a mimic thing? Am I doing something there? I can't see that one. I can't see that one. So that might be a separate issue. I'm not sure. That might be tied to this. I can't see the pattern right now. But what I want to do is I brought my cards all over here. I got a sticky spot. I think it was honey. I got my cards all over here, and I'm going to pull some cards and just see what my cards kind of give me for feedback. And cards are just a tool in order for me to kind of see my subconscious a little bit more and see that this mimic is the pattern, and maybe it will help me on clues on how to heal this layer of it, because I don't even know like what to do about this, because it's like it might be a thing where I've got to practice other ways, but like being conscious of it is a huge, huge part of it, though. So I've done a huge half of it, becoming conscious of it. Oh, okay, let me just take a deep breath here. I have a new morning drink. It's like coconut milk, honey, and orange juice. Tropicana orange juice, because it's not made from concentrate. And I just kind of came to this recipe on my own one morning. It tastes a little bit like a creamsicle, right? And then I came across this post on Instagram that was about a adrenal cocktail, and it was this mixed drink that you're supposed to make to fix your adrenal system, which I am working on, is fixing my adrenal system. And it had coconut water and orange juice in it. I was like, oh, that's kind of like the drink I've been drinking. Isn't that interesting? So maybe my body naturally led me to these things. And I think this thing that I'm healing now probably has lent towards this adrenal issue that I have, right? Because if I've been mimicking while having to be around people who are rude, impossible, not logical, angry, mean, selfish, it's like, oh, I don't want to mimic that. It's terrible. Sounds like a miserable way to live. Yeah, and I've been living it. Yeah, it's kind of felt this, I knew that I should be able to deal with anyone and be unaffected by them. I mean, not completely unaffected, right? Like, but to be able to move through pretty quickly. And I have really been able to move through pretty quickly. Oh, maybe that's the problem, is I've adapted so well to moving through emotion that I don't, like, I tend to my own emotion, right? So when I left that grocery store, by the time I was done at the grocery store, that was not bothering me anymore. Not in a big way, anyway. I was aware of how I had acted. I wished I hadn't acted that way. But I sat there and said, Julie, I love you even though you acted that way. And then I felt better. So I forgave myself for that incident and stuff, you know? All right. Let's see. Give me some information in my astrology oracle here about this pattern of thinking or communicating that I am looking to clean up. This pattern of thinking or communicating that I'm looking to clean up. I just heard that the world is a terrible place. It's interesting that that would come out, because I have been crying a lot about that, and I don't usually just sit there and cry because the world sucks. I don't even think the world sucks. I don't even usually focus on any of that. But lately, it's just been weighing on me. Not even in my face, in my face way, but like my thoughts have just been going to, gosh, there's so much suffering, and it's so sad. It can all be solved, but no one's doing it. And it has made me cry a few times, you know. But also, I've cried that. Yeah, oh, interesting. Thinking about the people who were playing the darker parts and how appreciative I am to them. That without them, without the people who played the darker parts, meaning the people that trigger me, the people that are mean to me, the people that are rude to me, the people, you know, that challenge me, I wouldn't find all the places in me that are not in unconditional love. And I want to find the places in me that are not in unconditional love. And it's harder to find them as the fewer they get, right? They can hide a lot easier. You would think that they would stand out like a sore thumb nowadays, but I guess part of it is that I got so good at loving the part of me that messes up that I just get the pattern of forgiving myself instead of noticing, oh, there's a pattern here to look at the root cause of. All right. Thetis is the shapeshifter. Thetis is the shapeshifter. Cancer. Mother. Emotions. We've got a blank here. Interesting. There's more information about this that is not going to be in this oracle. That's what that's telling me. All right. Oh, that's another place I've noticed the pattern. Okay. That's another place I've noticed a disconnect. I'll say that. I'm going to start saying, because I'm going to go back to the mode where I think I'm still trying to figure out what it is instead of assuming that it's a mimic, because it just seems to be where this investigation is going. So with my mother, I've noticed is very disconnected from me. But that's okay, right? That's how she's been my whole life. It's not like I need things from her or anything. I don't need her to attend to my emotions. I don't need anyone to attend to my emotions. I am really good at tending to my own emotions. I do think that they're my responsibility. I don't feel like I need to put them on anyone. If I have an ongoing issue, like an issue that I can't resolve within myself with somebody else, I feel like I can respectfully broach the subject and see if we can come to some sort of agreement where both of us are respected. And and maybe that's what the opportunity has been with this other issue that I couldn't identify a pattern in, where the person was like not reading all the whole text but then responding as if they thought they had. I think that's one of those things where I can just learn these like resolution issues, like learn how I can bring up something delicate like that without accusing and without taking it personal, because that's probably totally something within them that's causing them to be like that. That's not anything to do with me, really. Okay, so with my mother, even though I already know not to expect of her and not to want her to care in a way, I know that sounds mean. It sounds like I'm not giving my mom enough credit when I say that, but like it's just true. She's too in her own world. She gets too stressed out. She pushes me away when she's stressed. Yes. And I can stress her out sometimes because I can call things out that are uncomfortable to see. And it has been, I don't even know how long it's been since, like, I felt like she was pouring into me anything. Or anyone for that matter. But I do tend to pour a little bit into my mother from time to time. Anyways, I don't usually think I'm doing it with any expectations, but I've noticed at times where she went a long time without my sinuses are kind of feeling blocked. She went a long time without doing this, I think, and I got this idea that it was over, that she was really trying to be decent to me. But then one day I talked to her and she was kind of cold, and she said the words that she wanted to hear what I had to say, but she acted cold. Uh, and that's what I was doing to the person who was mentally different, right? I was angry inside, so I might have been saying all the right words and not saying them but I was feeling cold towards them because on the inside, I was really angry and I was holding that in. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and maybe my mother felt the same way that I felt towards the mentally different person, which is annoyed that whatever she was doing was being interfered with, which in my case was peace. I want my peace. You're taking my peace. And maybe my mother was just busy at the times and doing something that she didn't want me to trigger her around or whatever, because, she gets triggered because she's got things to heal, and I'm like a healed version of a lot of those wounds that she had not healed yet. It goes the other way with my mother too. She was very happy. I hadn't seen her happy in a long time, but I talked to her. She was very happy, and she also didn't share that with me. She, yeah, so she was really happy, and like I inquired about it, and she didn't share with me why she was so happy. Maybe there was no reason, but it was just an odd thing because she's usually not that happy. So there doesn't have to be a reason for people to be happy, right? But I think there was a part of me that wanted to share in her happiness, and she didn't share it with me. And I'm always sharing happy things with her, reasons that I'm happy. Oh, okay, so we're exploring a disconnect between myself and mother at this point. And now I feel it's fair to say that the mentally different person I've been dealing with is my son. So it is a mother-child relationship issue. But I did mention that thing at the grocery store where I automatically mimicked this woman's tone. Is it just longing for a bond with mother? So when I realize a broken mimic issue in myself, right, and I heal it to whatever degree I healed it, right, what I did was I stopped mimicking others. It wasn't happening unconsciously anymore that I was mimicking people. And that's not really fixing it, is it? Because the mimic actually existed in my baby stages because I was supposed to bond with my mother. And that's what was actually broken, the bond with my mother. And that is what I'm seeing here. Okay. And the bond was broken because of these things that are happening now, which is feeling one way on the inside. A mother has to do that. You can't just let your kid know that the world is falling apart around us. We can't pay the bills. We don't know how we're going to eat the next meal. Father has father has stolen our money, and we don't know what we're going to do to survive. You have to keep your cool for your kids, right? But I think that's the issue here. Is I grew up in such chaos that there was no way my mother could have bonded really because she was in survival. She was trying to work and get us money and make sure we had everything we needed and pay the rent and also not be beaten and also not piss off the angry person in the household. Not also deal with anything that he was doing to her directly, cheating, being unfair, being controlling, and the violence and the broken things and the drugs and oh, and just the coldness of how she was treated. And how are you gonna play with your kids when that's going on? You're not. You're the face that you put on. It's gonna be a brave face. It's gonna be a calm as I can be. It's gonna be a let's redirect and think about something else face. And that is the best thing that she could do. And I think that is a loving thing for a mother to do. I think that is. So why didn't it feel like love? Because I didn't know that's what was going on, and I internalized it and I made it about me. I made it mean that I wasn't good enough. Okay. Oh, it's so sad to think about a baby version of me thinking that her mom didn't find her important enough. I know it's not true. I know it's not true. Like, I know my mom does love me. I know that. I mean, she might have some weird or non existent ways of showing it sometimes, but other times, and that's the thing, it's like other times she would show it and she would be attentive. And I know that she read books to us sometimes when all three kids were born, so things had settled down a bit or whatever by the time my siblings came. There were moments of peace in the chaos. Oh, yeah, yeah. Alright, so I'm just gonna take a moment now. We've done the steps, so if you refer to any of my other videos, I've probably said this a million times, with the steps being acknowledge the issue, which is that I, as a baby, internalized the issue of my mother's inconsistency, and that means in her mood, in her way that she presented herself to me, and her ability to care about me or for me, and the amount of fear and chaos that was around us. I internalized that as something that meant something about me. And it's understandable that I did that because as a baby, I still had to depend on my mother for food, for things to survive in, for a household, for protection. So as a baby, I wouldn't want to vilify my mother. I would, I would probably have to internalize it and suppress it and deny it to survive that. Because that's not the priority. The priority isn't my feelings about what treatment I'm getting or tending to anything I feel. The priority is like getting my needs met for nourishment, shelter, and love. And so I would have had to still get my love from her. So if I vilified her, if it was her fault, I mean, if there needed to be a fault, I'm your baby, I don't know. But if I had externalized it and said, oh, it was my caretakers or whatever, I wouldn't have got the love. And that was one of the needs. So, okay. It's understandable why I coped in this way, which actually sounds like a very, very self-loving thing to do, doesn't it? I loved myself so much that I said, all right, might be my fault. Suppress this down, deal with it later in life, and just get through this fucking chaotic mess of a household that I'm growing up in. And, guys, we're talking about a lot of yelling. We're talking about things being broken every day. Not every day. felt like every day. I'm talking about, guns being pulled, cops beating my father, money being stolen from, the food money. I'm talking about always being shooed out of the room as cocaine and pot were being indulged in. I'm talking about being told my other relatives were dead. I'm talking about just being 5 years old on the city streets of Worcester, riding my bicycle around the block. But we had missing children on milk cartons, so it's not like it wasn't known that it was a risk to let your children do that. I don't know, man. Interesting, right? Okay. Well, maybe not to you, but to me it's interesting that this is what I came up in. On the other hand, we were sheltered and we did have food and we were loved. And I loved myself enough to protect myself in that way. So really it's just like the stories that I told myself, or the interpretations, and like that came from the negative emotions of the people that were around me. So it was the way I interpreted it, of course, which makes sense I interpret it that way. Okay, so I accept this is the case, that I still, after all this time, have been wounded by inconsistency. That's what it is. Incons- Inconsistency in my relationship with my mother. Yeah. Oh. And the lady at the grocery store, she and I got along so well. We were so kind and friendly with each other prior to that incident yesterday where I asked her to refund the Brussels sprouts and she said no. It was like she switched up and then she treated me as if I didn't understand how Brussels sprouts work. And that was something that my mother could do, right? If she was stressed out, if something else was more important. And I don't know what that lady's going through. I took it personal when it wasn't personal. And I reacted as if it was personal. Like my mom's happy on the phone yesterday, and I'm like looking for the explanation. Why? Probably so I could recreate it, so I could experience more happiness from her. Probably because I don't know what made her happy, and I've never known what makes her happy. It's been near to impossible. And that's interesting because it reveals to me that I've been trying to make my mom happy. I have, you know, bring her flowers every now and then, or just information that could help her heal, or spending the time to look at her chart for her if she has a question, and definitely not violating any of the rules in the household that I was told. Like, things need to be just so, you need to handle things this way. How you handle dishes, how you handle garbage, how you handle everything is laid out in that household, and I've been doing all the right things. And if there was some reason where I couldn't or whatever, I would tell her, and like, uh, okay. So this wound has obviously been playing out between me and my son as well, except for he's definitely not trying to make me happy. But he is probably trying to get some sort of a real reaction. Oh, there was a breakthrough with him yesterday. And you know what it was? For the first time ever, I told him that I felt like he was being mean. Normally I just say, you can't treat someone like that and expect them to keep helping you. You can't treat me like that and expect me to keep helping you. I have to take space from you if you yell at me. I have to take space from you if you won't stop yelling at me. You know, those are the things I usually say to him, but I switched it up yesterday and I said, I just feel like you're being mean to me and I can't take it. And he switched out of the trigger. Wow. Okay. Like I dropped the layer that was trying to play it cool to tell him how I was feeling. Oh, yeah. That's definitely missing from the communication with my mother and I. If I try to tell my mother how I feel, she rejects that. She kind of takes it as like I'm blaming her for how I feel. I learned that a long, long, long time ago. It's probably a big reason why it was very easy for me to adapt in life as far as becoming the version of myself that handles her emotions without putting it on anyone else, ever. I don't need someone to talk to me about what happened. I deal with how I feel about whatever happened and then move through it, alchemize it. But I have noticed every once in a while, God will put me, God, I say God, but I mean universe, source, the divine orchestration of things, my energy lines me up with someone who will ask me about what I'm going through in a way that kind of really shows they really care. And it will always like throw me. I'm like, oh, like this person really cares and they're like concerned about me. And it's always just someone in passing or someone, like it's like a person that's removed from me, but it's like, just seeing those caring people who are genuine and who are strong and who have figured it out, these like the last one I can think of was someone older than me who has actually dealt with the same thing as me in the differently able person department and just was like, make sure you get some help, make sure you take care of you, it's okay, you're dealing with a lot. And I don't know, it was just like an acknowledgement that I didn't need, but like it reminded me of humanness. It was nice. Um, yeah. So I think these ways of adapting have been very self-loving because I was just protecting myself and my need to survive and didn't know yet how to do that amongst what I was dealing with, but figured out a way. How amazing is that? Humans are amazing. Okay, so I've accepted that this is the case. I have had this disconnect in the communication with my mother, and I have passed it along to my child in some cases, probably all three children. Maybe even the grandchildren. Oh my. Oh, every once in a while, okay, before all this was come to a head here, because if you've heard me say before, I'm going to repeat it, sorry, but for this video, I haven't said it, so maybe I did, when something's getting ready to heal, it gets louder, right? So all this kind of stuff has been coming up in my experience in recent month, and before that, I wasn't experiencing this like this at all. Like, I didn't even know it was there. It was all suppressed and denied. And one of my grandchildren, she's now 4, but she's so in tune with me, I noticed, because there was like 2 different occasions where we were in the car and I was just like driving and thinking. She's in the back seat. And then like my mind went to some sort of difficult challenge that I was facing, so I started thinking about something that didn't make me feel as great because I hadn't figured it out yet, something that was hard, something that was hurtful. And I, I would let myself think about it or whatever while I was driving a bit. And then she would go from the back seat, Juju, which is what she calls me. Juju, are you okay? What happened? And she's asking because she was tuned into my energy and she felt the change. And ever since then, I was so careful about when I was around her, how my mood was. Yeah, because and I explained to her, oh, I was just thinking about something sad. It's okay. I'm gonna work through it, and we don't have to worry. The first time I probably brushed it off and told her, oh, nothing's wrong. But then I realized she's tuned in. She read the energy. I know that because I read the energy. And I don't want to dismiss that or make her think she's crazy for it because I know it's real. I know that's what happened. She's read my mind before too, and that's been pretty interesting. It's pretty amazing. These new kids they really will blow your mind if you let them. And so, wow, okay, so an acceptance of the fact that I've had this disconnect. And it's not just like, it's like, okay, if we're blaming it on, if we're naming it as a disconnect between mother and child, it's not exactly that, is it? It's a disconnect between what I show on the outside and what I feel on the inside. And how that has really been highlighted is in how I relate with my children, because that's where it's coming out, where they don't know how I really feel and they're responding to, or they know how I really feel and they're responding to that instead of what I'm showing on the outside. And instead, I think I just need to start saying how I really feel. Oh, because I haven't made my feelings their problem, so I've been keeping them to myself. It's like, so say this mentally different son of mine does something that makes anger come up in me. What if I just said, I feel angry, so I'm going to take some space to calm myself down, to work through it? Yes. Instead of, you're being angry, so I'm going to give you space. That's what I've been saying. You are obviously angry, so I'm going to give you space. That's what I've been saying as I walk away from him angry at me. I mean, he's angry at life. He does choose to target me as the reason I happen to trigger him a lot. And it's, on the one hand, it's nice that not everyone does that, right? He's not constantly yelling at everybody, but he could. He has. But mostly he saves it for me. His primary caregiver. Anyway, he mostly takes care of himself, to be honest. I just help him out with some stuff, making sure he's, I go to the grocery store, you know, for him, make sure he's got food, make sure he's eating. I take his calls if he's scared at night, which he does get scared at night sometimes. And, yeah. All right, so it's been a disconnect between what I feel on the inside and what I express on the outside. Oh, and it's probably showing up in my family because that's who I deal with. It probably has been there all along with every relationship I've had. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Just thought of a lot of examples. Yeah, how could anyone even get close to me because what I'm feeling on the inside doesn't match what's on the outside. I don't show them. I don't believe it's their business how I feel. Not because I wouldn't want them to care about it, but I don't trust them to care about it. Ooh, okay. So I haven't. All right. So all this needs to be turned back in on me, right? That's where I have the control. I haven't. I haven't trusted that I would care about it. Yes, I haven't even cared about it in the face of anyone else. I've cared about it on my own, but only when it got loud enough. Only when it got loud enough for me to no longer ignore it. So my operating system is to accept and love myself through whatever arises, even the discomfort. I do that usually privately. I always do that privately. I've never included anyone else in that. And this is just kind of highlighting to me that I'm probably going through life as a robot, very very controlled on the outside, with all the emotion on the inside, underneath and stuff. The only emotion that I really will let out and express outwardly is joy, excitement. Yeah. When I don't feel joy or excitement, I usually don't even want to go deal with anyone or life or go to the grocery store or at all. Nothing. In fact, I did. Life did that to me. I didn't feel like going to the grocery store yesterday. I made myself because my son needed some food. It was because he needed some food that I went, even though I wasn't feeling in the place where I wanted to do it. And that's why that interaction happened. It was because I felt low that I acted that way. And when I'm tired and when I'm not acknowledging my own feelings, I'm much more likely to mimic. Yes. Oh, yes. This is great. I mean, this might be boring to watch, to be honest. I just realized it's been going on for an hour. I don't know if this is useful to anyone. I'm going to still share it because maybe it's helpful to see somebody else's process. This is my process, like for this thing. But it's similar to the process that I use all the time whenever there is something for me to uncover about myself that I haven't. These things are really deeply embedded in me at this stage, right? Like, yeah, it was hard for me to understand this. And even like understanding it, I don't know that I could trust people with my emotions. Like, I don't even want to. Like, I don't think I should put it on them. But then, like, how do I still be a human with emotions? I mean, I'm still acceptable even if I don't feel happy. I just don't have anyone who. I was gonna say I don't have anyone who knows that, but then I just flashed to a bunch of people who probably wouldn't mind that at all. People who have tried to be friends with me, who you know why I pushed a lot of those people away? Because I wanted to never dwell in those feelings. I never wanted to be like gossipy. Let's talk about mushy feelings. Let's talk about how awful it is. Let's talk about how great it is. Um, I wanted to talk about how great it is, but only for the purpose of like overcoming something of the lower natures, right? I wanted to share growth. I wanted to share growth, like this tandem thing, right? we're having a conversation and you say something and it inspires me and I go, oh, and look, it inspires me to this, and then I share that and you're inspired by that, and then you share that and then I'm inspired by that. That's the only structure that I was willing to invest in. And the friendships that I had did not stand to that. And I think part of it is that because have done shadow work for 10 years or whatever, like, it has caused me to outgrow people. And I think as a coping mechanism, part of it was like, okay, well, if they're not going to grow with me, I can't really invest too deeply because, yeah, I can be kind and we can have a nice experience and stuff, but like, something in me was just like, well, how could I even attach to that person? Because they're probably going to be leaving my life soon because we'll, we'll, we'll grow apart. I was always expecting to grow apart from people. Whew. And of course I would grow apart from people if I never trust them and I never share what is on the inside. Well, this is hard. This is a hard one. Alright, so now I've got to feel the emotions and like let myself just be with it for a minute, for a lot of minutes, whatever, however many minutes, but I don't think you need to watch that part. But just trust I am going to do that because the last step is being present with what emotion arises. So as I think about these things, where I've missed out, what this has done to my life, what relationships I've lost and or never could have. And I'm not saying it's even going to change really a big part of how I operate. I'm just saying I'm letting out the emotion that's been stuck in there due to it since I was a baby. It's like I've adapted I don't know that I'm going to change. I just know that my vibration will change because I'm letting out the gunk. It doesn't mean I'll operate differently. It just means like I'm going to be the version of myself that can help that energy pass through if it needs to. Because I don't think I'm wrong for not putting my emotions on people. And I don't think I'm wrong for, wanting to be in relationships where growth is a thing. Like, you know, another person could be anywhere on their journey. And as long as we're growing together, then we can invest in that. Right? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get off on a sidetrack right now because I want to stay focused on letting myself feel the emotion of these realizations that I've had and just be present with it and let it be with me as long as it needs to and just with my presence. So presence is the thing, right? I'm looking at it, I'm being with it. I'm not pushing it away, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm understanding that this is what it has been. This is what it has been in me. This has been it. I'm glad to understand it. I feel really vulnerable. I'm going to let those tears come out if they need to. I'm going to let sadness be with me if it needs to. I'm going to let realizations come after that. And if I have a update on what I come to after this part of the processing, I will share that too. You know? Alright. Like and subscribe if you want to see a part 2.